Advisory Parks Board. Roll call, please. Oh, actually, hang on. If you have a cell phone, please silence it. If you need to take a call, please step outside. And then for citizen statements, if you come up, state your name and address. All right, now roll call.
Okay, Tim Franz, Amy Davis.
Here.
Becky Metz.
Here.
Lester Millette. Jacob Flom.
Here.
Steve Herman.
Here.
And Devin Hudak.
Here. All right, any comments, concerns, questions for the approval of August 12th minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, jeez, okay, sorry. So Amy Davis.
Aye.
Becky.
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
And Devin.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, are there any citizen statements for items not on the agenda? Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll move on to agenda items. Discuss and recommend extension of the no-wake zone between the Oshkosh Ave Bridge and the Wisconsin Street Bridge. Chad, if you could give us some background.
Yeah, in your packet this evening, you received information from Park Director Ray Mauer in regards to the recommendation of the extension of the no-wake zone between the Oshkosh Avenue Bridge and the Wisconsin Street Bridge. In there, that's entitled to the section 30.77 of the Wisconsin statutes, what gives the city of Oshkosh the ability to make decisions regarding to the no-wake zones and buoy placements within the jurisdiction of the city. There's been a request from the Riverwatch Condominium Association located at 240 North Campbell to extend the no-wake zone in the Fox River to encompass the entire river between the Oshkosh Avenue Bridge to the Wisconsin Street Bridge. The reason is being due to the reported erosion along their shoreline property. This matter will be considered at the Parks Board at the meeting, and ultimately Common Council will make the final decision and request at the upcoming meeting. So,
All right, I have a feeling that's what everyone's here for.
Correct.
All right. Trying to figure out the best way to organize this.
I guess right now, is there anybody looking forward to comment tonight at all? Or are you just looking for, if you have any comments, would like to come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and we can go right in line. That'd be fine. Go ahead.
Do you mind if I sit down?
You have to
I-
be over
is
on
there a
the
s-
podium, ma'am.
Is there a stool over there?
I don't think
If the mic is on, the green light's on, you can sit at one of
Yeah,
those.
there's a
fine.
green light on.
That'll be fine.
I suppose you need name and address?
Yes.
Sally Wodzinski. Do you want me to spell my name?
Sure.
Widzinski, 240 North Campbell Road, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 54902.
Thank you.
I'm going to apologize, I'm not as prepared as I would have liked to have been. It was a little short notice for me. As stated in Nancy Wilde's letter to the Parks Department, we are very concerned about erosion on our property and City of Oshkosh property, because we're not the only one experiencing damage. We've had to riprap in the past, we are going to have to riprap again. And we've already had to have the City of Oshkosh come to our property, because there's an easement from the wastewater treatment plant through our property with the pipe directly going into the river for that water to enter the river. This is the third time the city has had to come out. We had actual sinkholes that you could look down, stone is falling through, and you could directly look down and see water. They had to come and dig it all up again and fill it all back in again. That's part of the city's problem. The other problem is between us and the Wisconsin Street Bridge. There's a blacktop walking path behind the senior center, if you will. There's basically no riprapping there. We reported an area next to that blacktop walk where it had eroded so much the shoreline was actually about 17 inches from the path. Somebody from the city came out, they ended up putting some stone there. It is now again becoming a problem. We would strongly suggest you have someone look at that area again. All it would take would be somebody in a wheelchair to have that blacktop give way, and they would definitely be in the water. This, I don't know when this happened, that the city of Oshkosh now has jurisdiction over this waterway. It was always the DNR. We made requests in the past to the DNR, which would have nothing to do with it, absolutely nothing. And on the fourth time we contacted them, the water was so high, we had water washing up and over 8 feet onto our property, over a stone path, 8 feet up. And the DNR still would not require these boats to slow down. They had little use for it, and the bottom line was, and this is a direct quote from Dennis at the DNR, well, you know, they pay a lot of money for those boats and they want to run them. And I said, well, you know what, I paid a lot of money for my car. I'm told which direction I can drive and how fast I can go. You know, when you've got damage being created, why can't you do something to resolve this? And that all fell on deaf ear. Now, you have the opportunity to do something, and I know there's lots of people here that don't want to hear it. But if I can, an hour ago I made notes, if you'll just bear with me. I noticed in the letter from Ray Mauer, okay, and it talks about the no-wake areas, it's about 900 feet by the Canadian National Bridge. You've got buoys there. Then by Oshkosh Ave and Congress, to the north, it's 1,900 feet. Is that because Rainbow Park has a boat launch? There, is that why it extends out so far? It comes out 1,600 feet to the south. Is that because of Spellman Marina or Fox, not Fox Hollow or whatever it is? Why are those areas have so much of a no wake? There's no buoys by Wisconsin Street, no buoys by Oregon Street. It is definitely a no wake zone under the bridge. But, and let me preface this by saying, I was a bridge tender for 32 years. On Wisconsin Street. I've seen it all. I've seen it all, that these boats will barrel up and will not slow down till the tip of that boat is underneath that bridge. And that's just to give you some reference as to where I'm coming from. But why is there so much? You know, if this is going to be stopped, we have a city of Oshkosh boat launch adjacent to us. We watch those boats and the struggles they have trying to bring a boat in, mostly, because they're being bounced around so badly at that boat launch. You know, doesn't the city care about them? If you care about, you know, Rainbow Park, or does this have to do with Fox River Brewing, having a dock there that it goes out 1,900 feet? I mean, that's a question that we have. But, Nancy reported the incident, and this is not something, you know, that we're complaining about in reference to John Capasta's letter, that it's, you know, noise or smell or anything else. Believe me, we lived with the smell from the wastewater treatment plant for years and never ever told the city to do something about it. But when you've got a financial burden, when you've got property damage, I think we do have a right to ask for some of this to be, if not all of it, but at least a portion of it, to have these boats slow down. I don't know what else we can do except to keep throwing money in the pot. I guess I don't have anything else. I don't know if any of you want. Did I cover?
You covered it pretty well.
Well,
The only thing
I'm the brave one.
The
I'm
only
the
thing I
brief-
would ask is if
You
You have to come up here.
Yeah.
Name and address.
You're
You
green.
wanna come to the podium?
Yeah. you can
Oh,
go.
you gotta go to the podium.
Well, that's the latest on.
You gotta go there. I'm on oxygen. I'm special.
I don't have that much.
Name and address.
My name is Nancy Wilde. That's Wilde. I live at 248 North Campbell Road. The only question I have is, what is the city's intentions for that area of the River Walk that is, it's eroding away all along it between your boat launch and the Wisconsin Street Bridge? I mean, do you have intentions in the future that it's still going to be there?
We'll have to assess it and see where we go in the long term for the shoreline restoration on there. And then probably work with our engineering staff too to come up with a plan and see where things are at. We don't have anything currently in our CIP for that, but it's something we will have to assess.
Okay, because that is totally unprotected. There is no riprap in that area whatsoever. And all these really nice big trees along there, there is no land on the river side of them. It's all washed away already. You're going to lose every tree in that area. Plus, it's pretty soon it's going to be right up to that path. And I mean, there's hundreds of people every week that use that area. It'd be a shame for you to let it go. But I mean, the boats not having to slow down there is causing it to happen. That's all I have to say, unless you have any questions.
Okay, are you done? Okay, yep, you can be excused.
May I be
Yes, you can be excused. Yep, you can, we'll go in line and go up and state your name and address.
Thank you.
And I did not mention, but statements should be limited to about 5 minutes.
Sorry,
Oh, no, my bad.
I'm a newbie.
Dave Wilkins, 260 North Campbell Road, a resident of Riverwatch. From Riverwatch to the bridge there by Ohio Street, that is a park, and you guys are the parks department. If you care about your parks, that is just as much a park as Menominee or anywhere else in the city. And I seriously think you should look at that. And part of the way you can do that is to make sure that that's not eroding. And as it's been said before, there's a blacktop way that goes there to the beautiful bridge that they put in. Sally, you worked there at the beautiful bridge that they put in. We'd hate to see for that to erode away where people can't even go on the walkway. And it's really getting much closer there. As a parks department, I think it's your responsibility to make sure that that is protected. And you should even look further beyond that part towards Riverwatch and make sure that that is protected as well. We have Mercury Marine, we have Cabastas and everyone else that will tell you and threaten you maybe that this is where we are and this is what we need. But they can go to Lake Butamore, they can go to Lake Winnebago to do their stuff. They can actually go for Mercury Marine, they can actually test their low motor, whatever they do with their motors to get to the lake, and then they can open her full bore because that's what it's about. But as residents that live along the river that pay taxes, that a lot of those taxes go to the city of Oshkosh, this needs to be looked at, and we would really appreciate it if you do. I challenge all of you as Parks Department members to go down by Fox Valley Tech and look and take pictures of what's happening there, because it's not good. And we need to have this looked at quickly, because it's going to cost us thousands of dollars as residents there at Riverwatch. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Cabast. I manage Cabasta's Landing at 400 North Campbell Road. So I can see that there's definitely erosion, and now the issue is how do you prevent that? And enforcing a no-wake zone is kind of overkill. If you look at the boats that are going up and down the river, I don't know if any of our boaters, but it's a very small percentage of boats that actually make the large wake. Most of the boats going up and down as fast as they want to are not making much wake at all. It's the big boats, the biggest boats. They're plowing, often trying to get down to the bridge before it opens, and so they're not watching. So it's a risk to some of our customers. We teach them to just watch for it. The wakeboarding boats that do the oval, go back and forth. They have boats that are specifically made to make the largest wake possible, so that they can wakeboard from them. I would simply recommend that they don't allow that in the river. It's not a safe place to wakeboard. It's damaging their shore. As far as erosion, the worst, if you're watching what happens along the river with the water, it's usually when there's high water, and the DNR did actually impose an awake zone when the water was high this spring. I don't know how much it's enforced. I didn't see a lot of enforcement, because I did see a lot of boats still doing their normal thing. I've talked with the Sheriff's Department officers that go out and enforce that, and I just asked them, can you do something about the guys that are making the big wake? Can you just mention to them, notice what they're doing, and realizing that wake goes right up on their shore. I can see it. It goes up on part of ours. So one of our lowest spots, it can come up right up on where there's a little fire pit area. It just comes right up onto the shore. And that's usually when there's high water and very big boats plowing with their bow up, which is not safe. And again, that could be what the Sheriff's Department could look for, is boats that are going bow up. That's when they call it plowing. So when you're plowing, which is what the wakeboard boats do as well, but they're designed to be able to see over their bow, because they're designed to plow specifically to make the largest wake. But the biggest boats, when you're talking 30, 40-foot boats that are coming down the river, many of them just go slow. But the ones that want to get to the bridge in time when it's open, they plow, and they can't see over their bow, which would be an enforceable measure for the Sheriff's Department to just say, that's not safe. You could be hitting a kayaker, a fisherman, any of the other small boats on the river. They just can't see over their bow. But they do that. And that's probably the most, I don't know if you guys would admit, that's probably most of the damage is the biggest boats, the wakeboarders, and then when the water's high. When the water's high, impose a no-wake zone. But again, most of the boats out there can get down that river. They can get on plane. They can get like through the bridge, get on plane very quickly with very little wake, and mosey on down the river as fast as they want, and they will not make much wake at all. That's not the damaging wake. So if there's any ideas about what we could do to prevent the damaging part, and I don't know if there are any buoys that indicate large wake, but I mean wake is you can't define what a wake is. A duck makes a wake technically. So when they do a no-wake zone, they do it by speed, and I don't find that very effective, because there's some boats that technically are under the speed and they still make a pretty good wake, and then there's some boats that can go 30 to 70 and they're not making a wake. I mean, very little. By the time it gets to the shore, you don't see it. So I would just be. The other thing is the amount of time it would take. If everybody has to go slow, that's the longest section of the river between bridges. That would be very, it would make the fishermen, the pleasure boaters, just about everybody, probably not want to go through the whole river and get back and forth to the different areas where they want to go based on where the wind's going and things like that. But, it just seemed like you're really penalizing almost everybody for a very small percentage of the people that you could do something about the small percentage and prevent that shoreline there. So.
How much time do you estimate it will increase the time?
I don't know if has anybody timed it?
I have, when I worked for the Sheriff's Office, from the Pioneer to the end of Lakeshore Park, it's 45 minutes slow and awake. From one end of
entirely, but in terms
the
of
whole system,
Wisconsin
from with the Wisconsin Street Bridge to the no-wake zone, it's about 15 to 20 minutes right now. But if you get held up by the railroad bridge, you could look at 2.5 hours to get down the river.
Yeah. So that is the longest, he's talking about the longest stretch. But
Yeah.
you're talking, but the stretch just from Wisconsin to Oshkosh Street Bridge, does anybody have the time on that one?
10 to 15 minutes.
10 to 15
We
minutes.
add to the amount of time.
I've never timed it, but.
Right, it's been a while.
Yeah. And if they're, like I said, if 90% of the traffic, I'd estimate at least can fly down there and not make a problem. So I don't know if there's any ideas about what we can do about the big boats and the wakeboard boats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go on up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeff Hager, 505 Marion Road here in Oshkosh. I'm the site leader at Mercury Marine's testing plant. First of all, I would like to thank you for your services on the bridge. I think here and there, we've talked on the phone and noticed some same sightings and possibly helped out with some things.
Watched your property.
Yes, and thanks again for that. Mercury Marine, to take some of the pressure off of the system here, we have a plant in Panama City, and most of our endurance, where boats are going out with a duty cycle to run all day, run hard all day, we don't have that pressure here in Oshkosh anymore. That's at our plant in Panama. So what we do here at Mercury, we do keep try to keep somewhat confidential, but it's the research and development. So in the plant, we have software engineers, and we have hydrodynamic engineers, we have engine calibrators, and we need them to be close to Mercury and Fond du Lac, our headquarters, because we're always looking for data, meetings, and changing things to make things better and safer. So we really need to use the river to get out to Lake Butamore for some performance testing, which doesn't happen, 8 hours a day. We predict, looking at the no wake, it would add another 3,600 hours to a year's time, which would slow down our testing at Mercury Marine. And there are, I don't mean to come across negative here, but there are a lot of seawall designs that can last longer. Mercury, the testing plant was built in 1972, and please feel free to look at our permits with the DNR and with the city. That seawall lasts us 40 years, and before we had to rebuild it. And just like we do when we hop in your car, as you mentioned, we drive down the road. It has its consequences with roadways and weight and that kind of thing. There is, having riverfront, there is some expected maintenance. So at this time, Mercury Marine is against the petition for the no wake. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having a meeting here and having us here. My name is Timothy Carr, C-A-R-R. I live at 2815 Shorehaven Court, Oshkosh. I am a member of the Oshkosh Boat Club, which has 86 members. I am an owner of a slip and one of the directors on the board at the Lakeside Harbor Condominiums, which has 73 slips. I am also a pleasure boater and have boated most of my life. I am here to ask you not to grant the slow no wake proposal. Everyone knows more slow no wake zones would severely impact the businesses along the waterways and hurt the resale value of our slips. It already takes a long time to pass through Oshkosh, and to make it take longer would be another reason to avoid Oshkosh if you're a boater. If businesses suffer, it will also eventually affect the city in many ways. A slow no wake would make it impossible to test boats that need to have been repaired at the marinas. Slow no wake would also be a problem for those many fishing tournaments that take place here. There are many more reasons to keep things the way they are. Please do not grant more slow no wake wakes through Oshkosh and give people reasons to avoid the best place to come and see and enjoy the city, eat, shop, purchase boats, get repairs, etc. I will say at Lakeside Harbor, we have the same issues as Sally has over there at the condos. And that's just part of us living there and having to do business and take care of our property. It's just like if I go out and decide I want to build a house right next to this farm, and all of a sudden afterwards I go, man, I don't like the stink and I don't like the guy growing corn there. Which was there first? The river was here first. So it's always changing. It's always going to have the water flowing through there. If there are boaters out there that are causing problems, the sheriff's department, the DNR, somebody should be stepping up enforcements. So with that, I thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joe Hansa, H-O-N-S-A. I'm the owner of Lakeside Marina, 902 Taft Avenue on it. And I agree with a lot of things that have been said here. One, the wakeboard boats, the wake that they create does create a lot of damage to, I mean, I get probably as much frontage as anybody out there. And yeah, we gotta maintain it, we gotta build it up. The wakeboard stuff is by far the worst on it. The spring high water, again, the same way. We do honor the no wake system when we have the high water with it, with all the boats that we do testing. We probably run as many, if not more, boats than what Mercury does on the waterway, and part of our business is delivering boats. We sell close to 200 boats every year, and take those people, we make it mandatory to take them onto the water to do a in-water demonstration. That includes showing the performance of the boat and how it performs going through. We put a certified captain in there. We teach them the navigation ways of boating with it, and then how to honor the no wake buoys and so on and so forth with it. Having that be a no wake zone for us would be very detrimental from that fact, because it would take that extra 15 minutes to get out to, let's say, Lake Butamore with it. Probably half an hour would be closer to where you could get and run the way we do now, and just putting the customer to a 2-hour delivery window is very inconvenient for them. Plus, it limits the number of boats that we could deliver with it, as well as testing these boats when we do the repairs to them, taking them out and testing them. I mean, we do the customer service by making sure the boat runs right and the problem has been resolved properly. I've been there for 30 years. I look at the erosion that is on the waterway. I mean, I've observed it every year with it. I mean, I'm out there on the water constantly. It is minimal in the grand scheme of things from year to year. You're going to have it regardless if it's no wake or not. The high water itself will erode the shoreline with it as well. So from Lakeside standpoint, or my standpoint on it, I am definitely against imposing a no wake rule there. Thank you.
A quick question for you.
Certainly.
If a no-wake zone is implemented, the extended no-wake zone, is it safe to say that it's going to be virtually impossible for you to deliver boats in the future?
Not impossible, it just would, I would have to reanalyze the whole situation with it, and probably would not go to the extreme that we do now with it. I mean, a lot of dealers that are off-water deliver boats, but they just hook them to the back of the guy's car, and away you go. And you watch them guys at the ramp, they have no clue what it is. We take them through the launch ramp, put them down in the water, show them how far to back the trailer and answer all the questions, make them more experienced boater and a more knowledgeable boater.
Sure. So training and education are part of your business?
100%.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any statements on this matter?
I'm Caitlin Schneider. I am a resident of Oshkosh, and I also work at Lakeside Marina, 902 Taft. I am, as he stated, the actual delivery captain that goes through this whole process with the people, take them by the hand.
What is your address? I'm sorry.
902 Taft. I also live in Oshkosh. That's 518 East Parkway Ave. So I take them by the hand, I go through their whole process, and so many of them are so grateful for this process of, we would have never known this, we would have been looking like idiots at the launch ramp. Thank you so much for telling us this is amazing, no other dealer does this like you do. I do agree with the wakeboard boats and going up and down the river. I do see the trees down by you guys and that bridge and whatnot, and I think banning the wakeboard boats, but then maybe possibly extending the no wake just up into like the senior center to make people slow down faster before the bridge, because it is also a dangerous, and I've had it happen to where the big boats do go up to the big bridge to slow down, and the little boats get actually a wave over the front of them and actually swamp the entire boat because the waves are so big. And that causes like 200 gallons of water to enter the boat, and then they're trying to find all their stuff floating in the boat. I've seen it multiple times. So maybe just extending it around the bridge a little bit to give people the space of going underneath the bridge, but not extending it the full length, kind of like how they are around the Bob's River Brewing Company, where it just extends it a little bit. Otherwise, I think this. I've been working there for 10 years, and I'm on that waterway on average 7 times a day, winter, fall, spring, summer. It's the big boats and the wakeboard boats, and I definitely down by that bridge is where the main problem is, nothing really any further in the middle. So that's all.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Right, if it goes later, can
You need to go up.
John Kvast again. So a question, especially if you've been on the sheriff's department. I don't know if there's any way to enforce.
Yes, the state statute, boater is responsible for their wake at all times. If the wake causes damage, they can be cited and charged with a statute violation, and they can be civilly held liable for the damage that their wake causes their boat.
And how is it indicated for the
Well,
boater?
it would be like a resident, let's just say a resident of the condo association would have to identify the boat,
Okay.
the boat registration number, report it to the sheriff's office.
But in terms of marking the river,
There's
I've
no
seen
marking.
there's no
There
specific
would be no
marking for a
marking.
large
It's a
wake. Yeah.
boat awareness that they are responsible for their own wake. And if their wake causes damage or injures
Okay.
a boater or pedestrian, there was a question about the length of the docks. Part of it, the no wake zone, part of it had to do with a lady getting hurt at Spellman's Marina. Got her arm pinched while gassing up a boat. So that was one of the reasons it was extended farther down south. So there is responsibility. The sheriff's office, the DNR, and the Coast Guard, who all patrols the river, can enforce those ordinances or the laws. We go into more detail when we get to our discussion, but there are some rules and regs that are already in place that can effectively handle a lot of this situation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Oh, okay.
Caitlin Schneider again. I don't know if this is really a question for you guys on like the sheriff's department and like their schedule on how they monitor the riverway, but this past summer, and I'm being out quite a bit, I maybe came across them 5 times. Like I hardly see them out. And if they are, it's just strictly down by the railroad bridge and then by stretches. And they like stay over there. And maybe see them pass by us once or twice, but they are hardly ever in that area watching for these like high risk areas, which maybe they should be posted a little bit more at then to prevent this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you go.
Dave Wilkins again one more time. For those of you that are volunteers on this board, you are here because you care about our parks. And while it's small by Fox Valley Tech, that is still a park, and it is being hammered. While it may take 15 to 20 to 25 minutes more for the big boats to come through and the businesses, let them enjoy our town. Let them see what we have here in Oshkosh, and I'm sure that they won't be that upset about it. Vote with your heart and think about more than just big money, and don't be intimidated by that type of thing. Not that it's been brought up here, but don't let that influence you. We are all residents at Riverwatch that are watching our beach line be eroded. So if you're here and you really care about our parks, let that figure into what you decide to bring to the Common Council. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else want to make a citizen statement? Okay. Then we will bring it to the board for, we may call you up for questions, but we'll see. So what are thoughts?
So is it possible to enforce or have those boats, the wakeboard boats, not allowed to do that in the river?
City of Oshkosh could enact a ordinance to prevent wakeboarding, which most smaller lakes have already done that. City of Oshkosh could enact that throughout the whole river. No water skiing in the river. Also,
That's smart.
Yeah.
you know, those are laws that could be enacted, ordinances that can be enacted by the city that's not on the books. That would be one way. Just listening to the residents and the concerns, and I've been, just to be honest, I've been retired 15 years from the sheriff's office, so I don't know what their voting procedures are anymore. But I know that when I was in the sheriff's office, this point was brought up numerous times about the different no-wake zones throughout the city of Oshkosh. And the concern was always that, are we making Oshkosh a territorial voting community by limiting the distances that boats have to go from one lake to the other lake? You know, one thing we cannot control is the Chicago, the bridge for the railroad bridge, and there's times when that bridge just goes for over an hour. Now you're asking boaters to even go slower for a longer extended period of time. We have businesses up and down the river that are impacted in this area that don't seem to have a concern, and yet, as Mr. Cabasta brought up, the fact of the wakeboards, we could pass an ordinance that prevents wakeboarding in the river. We can also encourage the sheriff's office and the DNR and the Coast Guard to monitor boat activity in that area. I know they have 3 boats that they operate in the Winnebago system, but I don't know what the kind of hours they run, maintain, anything like that, what their requirements are and things like that. But I think that we have to be conscientious of our businesses, along with our residents, and I'm concerned about that wake too. And I'm a boater. I've been a boater for 40-some years, and I just think we have to manage it on a whole. We can't piecemeal it, and I think that's what we're doing by adding another no-wake zone, so that the whole river from the Pioneer to Lakeshore Park as a no-wake zone would be a detriment overall to the city of Oshkosh.
I would agree with Steve on this point. I think to add to this, I'm sure there's some sort of lake Riverwalk grant that we could try to search out for some seawall construction along the senior center and up towards this condominium facility. So with that, I think we can kind of walk and chew gum at the same time with this. I think we can take a look at potentially banning the wake boats and the water skiing in the river, because that is, I don't know why that's allowed currently, because it just seems pretty dangerous in a busy waterway. And then on top of that, with the erosion part, I know that there are funds available at the DNR level. I know the county recently started a project with that too. So there are places where we can find these funds, and they are available. Or if that doesn't work, potentially that could be added to the CIP later. But I do think we can walk and chew gum at the same time here. My concern is that if there is a no-wake zone from the Pioneer all the way up to Lakeshore Park, that a lot of those downtown businesses become inaccessible by boat. And so people are just not going to be interested in going there. So I understand the concerns that residents have. I use the Riverwalk very frequently. I'm a runner. I've seen the erosion. I understand the erosion that's going on, but I think, we don't have to punish an entire group of people just because there is an erosion area in some specific location. We can tackle both at the same time. So that's where I'm at.
I echo the notes I just had was I appreciate the safety and the demonstration portion that you talked about because I'm not a boater myself. I've gone on boats, but I did not know that was a service you guys provided as well. So I appreciate that portion, and I think that is a huge factor as well as keeping boaters safe, and a new boat owner having those demonstrations I think is very crucial to somebody buying a boat like that. And I would echo the part about seeing how we can ban the wakeboarding itself in the river, but I would agree with everything you said. See if there's a way that we can search grants. I would imagine there's something that we can do along that line that we can kind of have the best of both worlds potentially.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone talking tonight and understanding how bad the erosion is. I'm definitely going to take a walk back there. I haven't been on that part of the trail for a long time. I also agree with not penalizing all the boaters when there's a small percentage, and how do we fix that group of big wake people boats?
What if we had the no wake just up into the one bridge so that those docks can be used? I mean, right now we have those public docks and they're not used at all because of the wake. And there's a restaurant right there that people from Winneconne Road would like to come to, but they will not park in those docks because of the wake. And then that way Mercury Marine could still have their section to go fast.
Chad, does staff have any thoughts on Becky's point about potential partial extension, or is it just all or nothing?
I guess, Becky, let's clarify, are you talking from Oregon Street up to Wisconsin, or from Wisconsin Street to Oshkosh Ave?
Wherever those public docks are.
That's between Oregon and Wisconsin Street.
Yes.
So that are on the north side of the river there.
But she's thinking of having it go up to Mercury Marine's lot line. But that little section from Mercury Marine to the bridge is, what, 200 feet, 300 feet? You might as well make the whole thing then, because it isn't enough to make a difference. I agree, that those docks, public docks aren't being used a lot, but at the same time, I don't know that, again, you're piecemealing a section of the river again. And it's not addressing their concerns as much.
Steve, what about Ohio Street up to the senior center around there? Or is it the same piecemeal idea where that just wouldn't really have enough of an impact to warrant doing it?
Well, if you did it from that bridge going to the west, past, you probably would take it all the way to Cabastas then. Then you're only leaving that one little section of the river
so again, it's
open. It's okay. To me, it would be a piecemeal, but again, I agree with you. I think there's through the and I don't know if we have a neighborhood association in that area of the river.
Yes, there is.
They could request, like some of the other neighborhood associations have in the past for assistance with, that's a neighborhood repair type situation, and there's grants and things that might be available to put a seawall in. The gentleman from Mercury Marine mentioned, they got 40 years out of the one they have. I know that we've done an extensive amount of shoreline restoration down by the Leach Amphitheater over the years. And but I do think addressing some of the concerns that Mr. Cabasta had with the wakeboards and the boats, we can address that through a local ordinance. And like I said, there are a lot of communities in the last year and a half that banned wakeboarding in areas of their lakes and rivers, and that's something I think the city of Oshkosh should take a seriously look at. And I know that's a popular sport, but there's great places to do that out on the lakes and on both ends of the lakes, and not the river.
Do we have any statistics of incidents that
Yes,
caused?
that would be some things to it. You know, and one thing people have to realize, the city of Oshkosh does not have an enforcement arm in this, in a sense. We could pass the ordinances, but they have to be enforced by the DNR, the Sheriff's Office, and the Coast Guard. We do not have our own Marine Patrol in the city of Oshkosh. The fire department does do emergency rescues in the river, but we do not have an enforcement arm within the city, other than, again, we have the right to pass no wake ordinances and things like that, but we can't, we have to work with the other agencies that are tasked with the responsibility to enforce those ordinances.
And I know that the sheriff's department just got a new boat a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been some issues with its deployability and availability, but
Yep.
now that the boathouse on Broad Street is largely done.
Yeah, that'll
they're
help.
ready to go.
But, you know, again, too, a lot of people, again, I'll go back, and it's been a long time, so I've been retired 15 years, but they don't have a Marine division. It's still officers signing up on their off-duty times. Some officers assign, they use their reserve officers to patrol, so it's really when are the officers available to work sometimes, you know, and you know, with everything that they have going on and things, that it does affect the manpower side of putting a boat on the water at certain times. I know that was a concern of the one young lady about, you know, not being down in that area. They, again, that boat that handles this section of the river goes from the 41 bridge all the way to buoy 100 in the city of Menasha, and all Lake Winnebago, Cal County, and Fond du Lac County lines. So that's one boat.
Thanks for the, thanks for all the background and for what you were doing in the past. That helps a lot. I did, Mercury Marine's been very proactive with the Winnebago Sheriff's Department, and we're close to them. They're on the property. We've also let them practice doing their diving and some rescues. My understanding, as limited as it is that, you know, their budget is for weekends and holidays. And
Right.
we also work with them, that Boston Whaler as a Brunswick boat company boat. And over the years, Plant 33 right here in Oshkosh has won numerous safety awards.
Oh, yes.
And all that money was donated, as you probably were, when Mr. Brewer was around.
Yep.
And so we really do try to help with the community, but I you know, just my point was here that there's not a lot of, what everyone was saying, there's not a lot of physical attention to any type of patrol during the weekdays, and the weekdays have really increased the amount of people using it.
Yep. Good point.
Do we feel like we have enough information to make a recommendation?
Well, I guess from listening to the citizens, and then we did get some emails from the business owners up and down the river, plus a couple of business owners speaking. I guess we could make a recommendation to the city council, because ultimately it is up to the city council to make a decision if they want to pass the ordinance or not. We're just an advisory board, so.
I feel like we've been given enough information and heard from enough
Okay.
people.
So can we just make a recommendation to do an ordinance?
To enforce a no wakeboarding ordinance?
Yeah.
We would, right, we would vote on this and then would make a new,
Recommendation.
a new recommendation. Got it.
Well, I'll make a motion to deny the recommendation to add the no wake zone per the request of the condo association at this point.
I'll second it.
Okay, so. Right, so I vote no for extending it. I don't recommend it.
You're denying it as
I
well?
deny, yes,
Okay,
thank you.
So, all right.
So you're just saying aye.
Yes, okay. Becky?
I guess I don't recommend it for now.
So what?
For now,
You're denying as well?
yes.
Jacob?
Deny.
Steve?
Deny.
And
Deny.
With that going forward, then,
Then we make the recommendation.
yep.
Then you guess.
Madam Chairman, make a recommendation that the city parks looks at investigating an ordinance that would prevent wakeboards up and down the river completely, along with water skiing within the city proper. I guess it would be from the Pioneer to Lakeshore Park would be the zones that I think would be effective enough that, and then make, look at those as ordinances being passed for future safety concerns and that within the city.
What about plowing? How do you?
Could I have a clarification for that, Steve? Are you talking an ordinance for the entire river recommendation, or are you just looking in current areas that are allow wake?
I think because we already have a no-wake zones in place, they can't do that there anyways. But I think to be all-inclusive, I think we should make the ordinance so that it's the entire river from the Pioneer to Lakeshore Park, so that there's no anybody could say, well, I didn't really know because it's only in this little section of the river that you said I can't do it. But this way, the ordinance is very specific that from the Pioneer, no wake zone, to the Lakeshore Park, no wake zone, the whole river would be no water skiing or no wakeboarding allowed in that area.
Could you add to that maybe tubing? I've seen.
Well, it would be all that
Any
water
toe-
skiing, tubing,
Toe
that's
sports.
all.
Yeah, toe sports.
But they would really want to put the word tubing in there,
That's
because I
right.
have seen people just drag their kids up
Yes,
that river.
which is very
One
dangerous
kid
too.
fall,
It's extremely
Totally.
dangerous.
it is.
Yes, any type of water, I guess, Chad, you'd have to look at maybe some other ordinances that other communities have, but any kind of water-related, water skiing, tubing, those types of water recreational
towing.
sports.
No towing.
No towing, there you go. No towing sports. You can kayak, you can canoe, you can board, you can do whatever you want, but
Towing sports would be, I think, more appropriate
Yep.
because if somebody's got a damaged boat and they need to be towed.
Yeah.
they
Oh,
don't
yes.
have that.
yes, that would be a good
Yes,
point too.
Towing sports.
But I think, to Ms. Metz's comment about, that would be something that we would have to work with the city would have to convey to the sheriff's office, DNR, Coast Guard, that we're having problems with plowing of bigger boats and boats not being responsible for their wake, causing damage, not only shore erosion damage, but damage to other boats. They're swamping other boats. And like I said, that there is state statute that requires a boat operator is responsible for their wake.
Excuse me, may I ask where Lake Shore Park is?
That's the old golf course.
Basically, Oshkosh truck.
Yes. Well, Lakeshore's a little longer.
So do we also just second that motion then?
We had a
What happens to
recommendation.
let's say the big 40-foot boat plowing down the river.
Had
They
a
can take a
second.
picture of
Steve
that
made
boat
it.
plowing down the river.
No,
Is
the
that
new ordinance.
usable in any way?
A
to-
recommendation
they
to
call-
research ordinances.
It would be one of those situations where, again, it falls
We
under
would
the
need
property
a-
owner.
we would need a-
If they can show that that wake caused damage to their property, that boat can be
Yeah,
held.
I'm taking video of massive boats and it comes right up on shore. I
Yeah.
can't do anything.
I mean, something like that, where you could see where the water specifically came up on shore, like you were saying. If they took a picture of that, got a picture of the boat's registration, I can't answer for the officers that would be investigating it, but they could cite.
Nice talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need
We have
a
a,
second.
we have a
to
motion
your
for the
Oh,
motion?
recommendation. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay.
Second.
There we go. Got a little off tangent, sorry about that.
Yep, I would do it.
And then, so just all those in favor, I guess. So Amy?
I vote in favor of the recommendation.
Okay.
Yep.
Becky?
In favor.
Okay. Jacob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Devin?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can leave already. Good week.
Oh, yeah, we'll take care of the chairs.
Thank you, though.
All right. We are on to Pollock Community Water Park fees.
So this is in your packet, and I'll put it up there as well.
Jenny, pull the microphone closer to you. I know.
Okay, so this is in your packet as well, and we'll put it up here. So the first chart is the municipal pool fee comparison chart that Erica worked on and reached out to municipal pools in our area. And then the second chart would be the proposed rates for Pollock for 2025.
Do we still get, do we get any kind of,
From the foundation?
yeah, from
Yes,
foundation
recompense.
help for low-income families?
We do, yes. Mhm.
Is that gonna stay?
Yes, that program will stay intact as well as funding is intact for it, correct?
Okay,
Yes.
okay. That was my main concern. I knew we had it, I didn't know how long that was still.
And the 8 other pools that were surveyed, those are all similar size pools?
Similar municipalities that we have through the valley
Okay.
and aquatic centers and stuff in general.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perfect.
In the area.
So just if you guys are not aware, so where it's like the current rate before the pool opens and after the pool opens, we always have, people who buy their passes early get that discounted rate. We have a pass sales night at the pool where we encourage people to buy them early so that opening day, the line's not really long. So they can come up and get their passes and get their pictures taken before the facility actually opens. So it's typically, depending upon the year, we might have pass sales night like on June 4th if the pool opens on June 7th. So those rates are good up until that pass sales night then, and where people can get the discounted rate.
And that would stay in effect?
Correct.
When was the last time we revised these rates?
2021. And the biggest implication we're having from a budgetary standpoint is a lot of our staffing levels and our wages that went up to help suffice this. And we try not to work with the endowment as much into this program as an operational cost as much as we do for the capital improvements that are there. But we do have some funding from the foundation account to help with this going forward.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
And we've also, as we've talked about in the past, due to just trying to get staff and keep staff, we do pay, for lifeguard recerts and things now that in the past, we hadn't paid for all those recertification fees, or for them to get their, license. We're doing more of that because to try to get people to apply and stay, and so we do cover more of those recertifications and things.
What's our pay or hourly pay for a part-time summer lifeguard?
So that's the recreation department.
Okay.
They don't go off of our pay schedule.
Sure.
So we would have had to have gotten, I can't tell you off the top of my head. We as a city do pay their wages.
Sure.
They bill us at the end of the season, but I don't know their breakdown between attendants, lifeguards, and head guards. There's 3 different levels, and I'm not sure exactly.
So they set the pay and then submit the costs, and then the parks would pay it out?
Correct. They do,
They try to provide us estimates each year so we can budget for it as well.
Right.
To go through. So as far as that ratio between the two, we'd have to get that information to you to be exact
Between the
on that. I wouldn't want to throw something out as an average right now. I'd rather have you have the exact figures.
Just kind of as an operational question, can you view like the hours they've logged and how many years they've been working? Or say there's a freshman at Oshkosh West who wants to be a lifeguard at the pool over the summer and does that for 4 years. Can you view, like, can the Parks Department pull that data automatically? I know I'm getting a little into the weeds here. Or do you have to request that through the Recreation Department?
We'd have to request that through the Recreation for the lifeguarding fees. We do it as for our own staff, keep those differentials and step increases that we have annually to kind of know. Then Jenny and I sit down to go through a budget with an average, thinking that we have so many coming back versus not, to help with our own operational costs between our managers, concession attendants, and our maintenance team that's there.
Okay. And how's our retention been?
Jenny.
Good. It's the one thing I would say that tends to turn over a little bit more is the maintenance staff, because they do have to be 18, so they tend to not work as many years for us because they already have to be 18. But
That's not, no, they don't have to be 18 to work there. That's why we've been able to retain, like this year was the first year we had a couple come back for the second year.
Okay.
And I would say it's probably about a 2-year window on a maintenance
Oh,
area.
sorry.
But concession admissions might have a little more flex in some areas for that, because that's our newer staff coming in.
yeah.
So,
I meant 16. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but
yeah.
this year we only had 2 new employees in for concessions and missions. We only had 2 new employees. Everybody had returned from last year. And like Chad mentioned, that kind of changed a lot when we start being able to hire staff at 14. In the past, everybody had to be 16 even for concessions. So now we hire them at 14, and sometimes we'll get 3-4 years out of them, which is really nice that they return all through their high school years.
yeah.
That's great.
And just a side question, why do we hire the lifeguards for the rec department instead of directly through the city?
It's a contracted service because they have the aquatics programming for doing the lifeguarding. It's been a long-standing agreement that we work with since Pollock's been initiated the new facility, actually prior to as well. So it's just been a long-standing, and actually it works very well from that perspective.
Okay.
We definitely don't have the capacity to oversee
The
that
life-
program. I
that
mean, there's 40 to
program,
50 of them that work, part-time hours, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a big,
with the
it's a
pools at the high school.
Yeah,
it's
they're
a big
utilized-
undertaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're utilized
okay.
between all the
Oh, for
facilities
sure.
they have with the
Just
school
curious.
district. Yeah.
So with these fee revisions, does that put us, kind of looks like it puts us in the middle, just giving us a rough eyeball, middle of the pack, kind of in the area? Or does it push us up towards the high end?
Towards the higher end right now, but I would definitely anticipate, not say we're gonna be a leader in this end, but I would think other pools are gonna look in the long run too. It seems to be a continual discussion that we have within our state association with the Wisconsin Park and Rec Association and all the different municipalities we work with to try to get our bases in line to deal with, so.
Would you say this is a pretty fair market rate?
I would say it's fair right now, just to knowing where we'll stand from an operational level to help with our costs that are going up between wages and operational items.
Right.
Yes. Considering we haven't touched these in 3 to 4 years from that standpoint, through that whole higher inflation rate area period, post-COVID, it's been challenging.
We're looking for, is there would we have to go category by category to the new price, or just?
No.
Okay. I do just want to share, I see that birthday parties were included on here, but I just want to explain that, that's going to matter with concession prices too. So, some of the packages include food choices, like package 2, 3, and 4. So as far as that goes, that could change if those food prices go up. So I didn't know that, I just noticed that was on there, so.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to approve?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jake, was that you second? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Looking at that one. Thank you. Okay, so for pool fees, then we have Amy,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and Devin.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Dahlman.
Which ones I had on there? I think you had the Rouge Park Trail and what was the other one? My agenda-
44th
My agenda
parallel.
didn't print that out, sorry about that.
The
So-
44th parallel playground project.
Yeah, two big things right out there. If you haven't been out to the west side of town, the Rouge Park Trail between Newport and Roosevelt, we did some maintenance improvements out there with re-asphalting and getting things squared away right now, working on final restoration and some dead ash tree removals too to get this completed too, just while we're there. So it's a nice little section of trail that needed a lot of work. So we're happy we cooperated with the street department, had all their assistance with us to go through that project. So it turned out very well from that end. Second thing, even this week for the residents, we're going to be starting to remove the 44th parallel playground as the project for the new efforts or new construction will take place beginning on the 16th. So that playground will be down here for a while, but looking forward to have the new structure put in and resilient surfacing and all that stuff and ADA compliance for that at 44th as part of the CIP. So two things happening yet this fall. They're one completed, one in action.
Thank you. And Jenny, you have lots to do today.
Okay, I know. So just this past weekend, Saturday night into Sunday, we had our annual Snooze at the Zoo event down at the zoo. So it was a beautiful weekend. It was a beautiful fall weekend. We had great weather, so we had about 75 people stay overnight. So fun. And it's one of my favorite events. It's it's a smaller event, but some kids don't get to go camping and don't get to do a lot of that outside stuff. So it's great to see families come and they put up their tents and then we do everything else. So we grill out and we have s'mores around the campfire. We do a movie under the stars. We do different demonstrations with our education animals. Our zoo education coordinator was there doing crafts with the kids, a flashlight safari, and then in the morning we do breakfast and a craft in the morning as well. So it was really great, and everyone had a lot of fun. And again, if you want to see pictures and things, just always check out the Oshkosh Zoological website, and she's awesome about putting events on there and things going on. So that was Saturday into Sunday.
Is that only for adults?
Becky's in for next year.
Sounds like fun.
You know what's really funny is for years we had a mom and an adult daughter that came every year for like years. I haven't seen them in a year or two now, but they would always come, just the two of them, and do everything.
Sounds very fun.
They would help serve the meal because they just wanted to help while they were there, so they'd help us serve the meal. And so you can come, Becky.
Get it hurt.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun just to see the kids experience something that they're might not be used to experiencing. So, and then not this weekend, but next weekend we have our big annual Touch a Truck event. So I am shifting gears to work on that. So Saturday, September 21st. Oshkosh Corp is our sponsor for that and has been for many years. So that event typically brings in, between 2,000, 2,500 kids, families, people. So it's a great event. We have a lot of different area businesses that bring their trucks down, and they put up their pop-up tents and they just sit there and talk to people and just watch, a smile on a kid's face. We have a mail truck out there. A kid gets to go in there and see what the inside of a mail truck looks like, and they just get so excited. All kinds of dump trucks, and they love the Bearcats that come out, and just gives them an experience to kind of see what professions everybody in that kind of field does. So this year, actually, Oshkosh Corp is bringing 5 vehicles. They usually bring 2, so they're bringing 5 of their units this year. Those, of course, are always the ones that people really want to see because they don't get to see them, out of the streets and things like that. So, so it'll be really exciting for that this year. We are still looking for volunteers. This is a really hard time of the year because it'll be myself and one other staff person who's still working for us. So it's a hard time of the year when all the kids go back to school and they're gone. So we are still looking for volunteers to just help out and oversee we have a remote control area that the kids can play with remote control cars. Then we also have all the ride-ons that the kids can play in. That's a big area. It takes a lot of people to help them maneuver those drive-ons. We put a track down and they fly around on those things. So we have bounce houses and we have crafts and all kinds of things. So if you know any groups or kids or grandkids that need hours, we'd love to have them for that day help out.
What's the date on that again?
The 21st from 10 to 2. So that is on the next event, and then our last big event of the year and fundraiser for the zoo is we have our Brews on the Bay. We have a brews in the zoo actually on October 18th, and then October 19th is Zulu Brew. So that is our biggest fundraiser of the year for the zoo. That's a great event. This is like year 23, I believe, and it takes the whole community, so Oshkosh area businesses and organizations come down and set up the trick-or-treat stations. The kids can trick-or-treat around from station to station. We typically have about 35 stations the kids can go around and get candy and things from. And then we also have like 12 games, we have crafts, we have costume contests, bounce houses, entertainment, balloon people, musicians. So it's just a great day of all kinds of things for the kids to do. And on Friday night before that, we have our Brews in the Zoo. So it's an adult party, costume contest, and we always have a band, and we have our craft beers out there, food trucks, and it's so fun. People get really into costumes, and like as a group. So it's, again, if you look at our Facebook page on Oshkosh Parks from like last Halloween, people are so creative. It's so hard to choose who the winners are because they get so into it, and so that's a lot of fun as well. And again, looking for volunteers for that one. That's a huge event that takes a lot of volunteers to make that happen. So October 19th, if you know anyone available. And then just a recap of, we just had our last brews on the Bay last Wednesday. Becky finally made it this summer. But Rainbow Park really worked out nice. It was a really nice location. We had really great weather. The logistics of it, worked out. Of course, some people miss Menominee just because there's lots of trees and lots of shade and things. But honestly, I think it kind of worked out better than I was even expecting. It was a nice location and got us to still have them throughout this year when the road construction was happening in Menominee. So yeah, and later, probably November-ish, I'll have like full reports of numbers and things like that for those events. But they really went well this year. And we had some great weather, so.
We do what, 4 of those a year?
No, we do 7.
7. I was just curious of maybe half at one location, half at the other when it went over so well.
So that's it. That'll be discussed over the winter. But that's what I would like to see, just because being there every single night for every single one of them. So many people that I've never seen at Brews before.
You're getting some of the West Side people
there,
instead of coming.
Yeah, they were there this year, so they just walked over. It was in their neighborhood, so I saw a lot of new faces this year and a lot of returning faces from last year. But I even thought, like, if we could do, in June, do one at each location, July, August, have 3 at one and 3 at the other, so that everybody could.
Well, I guess more use of the parks and people get to see different parts of the parks,
different parts.
Rainbow, and I know Rainbow will be under construction pretty soon again, right?
It'll be out a little while. Yeah, a few years yet, but
A few years, okay.
It's funny, an employee of ours that used to work for us at Menominee Park, he passed away some years ago, but his wife still comes and volunteers and helps at events and comes to him, and she messaged me and she's like, Jen, where's Rainbow Park? Or where in Rainbow Park would you do something like this? I was like, oh, just come in and, go towards Lakeshore. And so she had no idea, because she doesn't get out to do those things. So yeah, it was nice to see new faces down there. And so I'm hoping next year we can definitely kind of mix it up as well. So.
Because I don't think it's a big deal for people that go on a regular basis, whether they go to Menominee Park or they go to Rainbow Park.
Yeah, it's the people who like to walk and bike, and so when it's at Menominee, they can bike from their house or walk, and so. But now we have new people who can
do the same
there.
Yeah. So.
logistically for setup, it works good at both locations. Our team does an excellent job with that, and it just works out well. So.
And parking ended up fine?
Yeah, no complaints at all with parking, not at all. So. Yeah, so it was good to see. It was good to see people enjoying that. We weren't quite, we didn't want to let it go for a year. We weren't quite sure how it would, turn out, and we want to stay away from self park with Food Truck Fridays, and
Right.
so we're like, well, so it was good. It was really overall a good year, so.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Gotta do that too, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Amy,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Jacob, Steve,
Aye.
and Devin.
Aye.
Yeah.
I think we're only past one guy.